thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with us. This is absolutely amazing to speak to you.
Well, it's an honour for me as well. It's good to see someone's hard at the rowing while you two are blethering.
Yeah, Lala's keeping us on the straight and narrow. It's actually it's his birthday treat. He loves the rowing so much that we decided to let him row even more on his birthday.
Yeah. And is it a significant birthday?
It's 27 years of age.
27. Blimey. So, oh well, that's a distant memory for me. So, well, I have had the honour of rowing with one of you briefly on 5 miles from Kilhoan to Tobermory, or maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it wasn't 5 miles. Yeah,
Oh, I
it was
think
a lot
that's
less.
10 maybe.
Yeah,
No, I
but
remember it well, very fondly. That was a
yeah,
fun little fun outing, and then you guys cycled on across Mull. It was with Mark Beaumont, wasn't it? It was with Mark, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we were in. He had to catch a ferry, so we had to put the hammer down. It's a great run. It's 17 miles down to Craignure. We had a tailwind. There were three riders, and we came out of the off the rowing. What's it called? Running. What are the runners called on the rows?
Off the
Anyway,
tracks, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
We probably know that, shouldn't we?
Well, yeah, I should know. I rowed once, only with one oar. They wouldn't let me have two. So
And Rob, your daughter's a rower, I'm right in saying.
no, not quite. My sister
Oh,
rode
your
in the boat
sister.
race. My
Oh,
sister,
wow.
yeah. I'm about to speak to her. She'll be thrilled to be referred to as my daughter. So, so yeah, my eldest sister got a blue and rode in the boat race
Wow.
40 years ago, 45 years ago, a long time ago. So yeah, but love my rowing, but it's pretty painful. I found the 6 miles to Tobermory pretty bad on my ischial tuberosities. I'm sure you'll know all about them, won't you?
What medical term is that? Is that the backside?
It's
Testerostes, or is that?
it's the painful bit of bone in your pelvis that sits on the seat. So
Yeah. I've been suffering quite a lot with that area. Certainly,
yeah,
we've actually
I
I think we've all resorted to rowing completely naked at night, purely from a anti-chafe perspective.
yeah. And
But maybe
have you
too
got a
much information.
comfortable have you got a comfortable cushion to sit on the seat?
Yeah, we varied it quite a lot actually, and yeah, it's one of these things that I think variation does help. But we started off with these. I can show you. It's kind of a. It's a cushion that's they're designed really not as rowing seats originally, but more for wheelchair users and for kind of beds to stop kind of bed sores and that sort of thing. Because they're kind of ventilated, but unfortunately they're quite abrasive. Like they your hand kind of
Yeah,
sticks to it, or your backside sticks to it. And
yeah.
well, half of the crossing, to be honest, but particularly the first couple of weeks, we had a lot of water coming onto the side of the boat. So we had salt to contend with as well, and then the abrasion of these seats. We were in bits. We were in bits. It was really bad. Yeah, but we've changed actually completely to a kind of memory foam square. Oh, are you still there? We've lost him. We've lost him. We've lost him. The first guest is out. I think we're still in. Hello?
I'm on Starlink. Are you on Starlink?
Oh, we are. Yeah, we're both. And where are you, Rod? Are you on the Isle of Coll?
I'm on the Isle of Coll. I've just been looking to see where Ned is again. Is that not where your croft is in Ned?
It is. Yeah, we're up. We're up. Yeah, way up in the northwest.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's our spiritual home. The three of us. It's been high on the list of topic of conversations over the past 2 months, as you can imagine. To
I
do on the
can
croft when
imagine.
we get back. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Funnily enough, we're actually our not too distant ancestor is from Tyree, so not too far
Oh,
from you.
Mm-hmm.
We had
It's
yeah, no, we did a our ancestor actually was known for living in a cave for a year before they eventually left. Not necessarily out of choice. It was actually as a result of running from the redcoats during the Jacobite rebellion, and we attempted to find the cave. We did, yeah. We ran around the island and found a tiny little cave, which I hope wasn't the one. But yeah, no. So we're familiar with well, obviously Tyree and Col as well. We've
yeah,
rode a number of times around Col. It's just a
yeah.
magical place.
Well, it's yeah. You've got a lot of salt water there at the moment. We've had a really dry spring, but now we've got a lot of fresh water. It started raining and now it doesn't really seem to want to stop. But I don't want to make you jealous. I mean, how wonderful would it be to wash with, do you ever get to wash with fresh water, do you? No.
If occasionally, if it's been sunny like today, it's almost completely clear. There's not a cloud in the sky, so it does make
Yeah,
for pretty hot, sweaty rowing. But it does mean we can make more water.
yeah,
So every few days we might treat ourselves to a sort of a flannel shower. Um,
yeah,
but that's about it, to be honest. One of the things you miss. It's just a warm shower.
yeah,
I mean, we obviously we need to get in the water every 5 to 6 days to clean the bottom of the hull. Just because it's remarkable how quickly the growth builds. Sizable mollusks and growth, and so you get it and clean that, and
yeah.
then you need to wash the salt water off after that. So that's the sort of the extent of our showering at the moment.
But Oh, well, I've got a long list of questions for you, and I don't know if I've told you it's raining here, and you'll be jealous of that. But am I allowed to embark upon all the interesting things I want to hear about how
Oh,
things
of
work with
course.
you?
Well, likewise, we've got some questions for you. So yeah, no, shoot, and we'll just have a chat. And you've got your curry, so we can at some point
I've
we
got
can
my,
tuck in and have a meal together.
have you made your curry yet?
We have added our water. Yeah, it's stewing away. We're on a lamb. I think you're on the lamb sag. Oh, you can you
I,
can
I,
you can delve into it now if you wish. Has he got
yeah,
some
I'm
language
I'm
up?
quite hungry. I've just come in from working with cattle, so
I'm going to have to apologize, Rob, because I think the portion you've been sent is a half portion. You've got half portion. It's still 500 calories, so hopefully it'll fill a bit of a void. But yeah, it's not that we're sitting on 1,000 calorie meals just to keep us fueled up.
um, how many do you eat a day?
So we're on about four main meals a day, and then we start things off with a porridge. So it's
Hmm.
sort of like breakfast and then four meals. Three of which are like curries or chilies.
I'm enjoying the meal. I'm enjoying my half portion. So
Fantastic.
it's
Yeah, what's
how
that,
many
Jen?
different flavors have you got?
So we've gone pretty heavy on the curries. We've got
Mm,
three curries. We've got the lamb sag. We've got a ruby chicken, and we've got like a Thai sweet potato.
hmm.
Um, and then we've got a meat chili and a veggie chili. And that makes up the bulk of actually the homemade meals that we have. Oh yeah, and pasta. We've got loads of pasta, which goes down an absolute treat. Pasta just with like a spicy tomato garlic sauce.
Yeah.
It's the highlight of every day. I mean, food is. I'm sure as you are very familiar with when taking on sort of a big physical challenge, food is it's the ultimate morale boost, and it's so important.
Do you have the conversations about what is your dream meal? I remember being stuck out in the Faroes for 2 weeks eating dried food, and we spent every evening talking through our dream meal. I think I was
Uh,
sea trout. I shouldn't be telling you this. Fresh poached sea trout with new potatoes, garden peas with a bit of mint and parsley sauce. That was my one. What would be
oh,
your what would be your go-to, or you all
I
would it all be curries for you?
no. We're exactly the same. It's the kind of inspired, but I don't know if you've ever listened to a podcast called Off Menu, and they kind of go through the what your starter would be, what your main would be, whether you'd have poppadoms or bread at the beginning, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think for me it'd be freshly caught mackerel on kind of sourdough with a squeeze of lemon, maybe a bit of butter. But yeah, that's about it. Keep it simple.
I've been craving pizza for months. Just like because bread, like a nice crispy, either a crispy sourdough, but like a really good pizza, like a Napolitano style pizza, fresh tomato and mozzarella. Oh,
And I think fruit and veg as well.
yeah.
Having having something green. There's not much green here. Jamie's at the moment he's trying to grow. He's got his only kind of micro growing.
It's an experiment.
It's an experiment.
This is the greenhouse, the onboard greenhouse,
Excellent.
and
What's growing or what isn't growing?
we have a range of lettuces.
Right.
that.
Okay. A leaf each.
Yeah.
So,
Microgreens on the next fish we catch, maybe.
and so that you've now answered my question. You mentioned the mackerel. Have you got a hand line, and are you getting much? And how do you cook it? Have you got the ability to cook it?
Yeah. Wow. We had we caught what is essentially, I think it's the biggest kind of mackerel you can catch. It's certainly related to a mackerel. It looks like a mackerel. It's called a wahoo, and
Yeah.
it was nearly the size of me. Like with me lying on the deck, it came up to my armpit. Absolutely huge fish. And yeah, we've got a little skillet with us, and then various things. I mean, you brought all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we've got the trouble is, like, you catch a big fish like that, you're then eating fish every meal for a couple of days, trying to get through it before the meat goes off because it's just so warm out here. So we had some sashimi, and then we had it, as you said, pan fried, and then we ate quite a large amount. We've got, again, just the tomato sauce that we're using for the pasta. If you add a little bit more water, it essentially makes like a tomato soup. A little bit of chili and chunks of fish. You have like a spicy tomato broth with fish in it. It was good. It was really good. Saying that, we haven't had the line back out for the last week, just because, well, I think we're still getting over our
Too much fish.
overeating of wahoo, but also we've become aware of the fact that there are some pretty big fish out here.
Yeah.
And we're not entirely sure what we'd do if we caught something even bigger.
We did. We managed to hook a marlin about 2 weeks ago, and we knew it was marlin because you see it kind of. I mean, the line just went crazy. That's flying out of the reel, and it was kind of at a point where we'd had a big kind of flock of birds, which were obviously, they were catching fish that were being driven up by possibly tuna or something like that. But I think you then get marlin, which are coming in to kind of hunt the tuna. And we caught this thing, and we saw it come up, and you see the fin. And yeah, I mean, you don't really want to. Yeah, you're either losing the rod or the line or the reel, or I mean, they're known for spearing ocean rowing boats, these marlins. So we're quite glad that one got off.
Robert, a word of warning: there are quite a lot of cardamom pods in this that I didn't quite manage to get out. You may have come across a few already.
I haven't.
But,
I haven't yet. No. I'm empty now.
You're done. What do you think? Give us a rating.
Oh, brilliant. Love it. It's an awful lot better than the dried food we had put up with in the past. So dream. And this is made by yourself from is it one of the berry packers over in Angus that did the freeze drying for you?
Exactly. Yeah. This Arbuckle's farm. Near Dundee. They very kind. They were so supportive, and they allowed me to go up. It's been a sort of like a 6-month process. We had to test as many meals as possible to see, because they've got a lot of experience in freeze drying berries, as you say, being a berry farm, but not really any experience in freeze drying cooked meals. So we had to do a series of tests, figure out what worked well, what didn't, and then once we had nailed down what worked well, then it was just developing those recipes, making sure ingredients were the right size, and trying to get as much nutrition in as possible alongside high calorie content.
I think it's starting to fade, but Jamie has had some pretty extreme anxiety that all of it was going to go off the last couple of weeks. It's gone down amazingly well, I have to say.
We've made it to nearly halfway. I'm pretty happy. If it goes off now, then I can rest in peace.
How many sachets are there?
So we packed about 1,200 of our own home cooked stuff.
Yeah.
And then we've got about 800 store-bought sachets,
Yeah.
which were a backup, in case either we got storm-bound and the journeys took us a lot longer than we anticipated, or, as Ewan says, if all the home-cooked stuff went off, we need that safety net, so we had some food at least.
Yeah.
There's also an amount of wet rations as well, which are just store bought, which you need to bring just in case your water maker packs in and you're having to, you don't have fresh water to rehydrate the dry stuff with.
Yeah.
But yeah, the boat is filled to the gunnels, especially when we left Peru. The cabins, which I imagine you might have seen inside the cabins last time you saw Jamie on Santa Mole,
Yeah.
and they're quite wee as it is, but yeah, when we left Peru, they were filled up right the way up, stuff on the roof, full of the walls, and it was kind of like a hot, sweaty kind of coffin. It was a really unpleasant experience.
They're slowly but surely
Yeah.
getting a little bit more comfortable, and the temperature's dropping ever so slightly, which makes a big difference.
Are you in French Polynesia yet? Then are you? Have you seen
We
an
are.
island now?
Yeah. So yesterday or the day before yesterday, we were aiming for trying to round the southernmost island of the Marquesas archipelago. But due to weather, we were getting pushed, and we just couldn't make the southerly point. So we decided to go through the islands, which was quite fun. So we approached them through the night, and then they revealed themselves as at daybreak. But unfortunately, we had to keep there's sort of like a 12 nautical mile border around each island, and out with that is international waters. So there was a very thin strip of about 0.6 of a nautical mile that we had to try and stay within to avoid just unwanted attention from authorities. So we looked at these magical paradise islands from afar, from about 12 nautical miles away, with their majestic cliffs and kind of cloaked in greenery. And that was it. We looked at them for about 12 hours, and then they disappeared.
Are you allowed to stop? Are you? Are you allowed to go? I mean, obviously, you must have wanted to go in for a beer, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, we were speaking to one of the we've had various people advising on route and all that sort of stuff. And apparently in some of the sail races, for it to still count as a non-stop around the world, for example, the boats are allowed to stop, but they have to stay below the high water line. So if you have to make a repair on an island, you can stop, beach the boats, prop it up, and as long as you don't go above the high water point, you can make your repair and then get back out to sea without it counting as a stop. Which I don't know. I think it would all be too tempting. I don't think it'd be a good idea. We'd end up staying on the island and making a new life in the islands of the atolls of the French Polynesian Islands.
Join Fletcher Christensen and the Pitcairn lot. So,
yeah.
But I remember we walked across Corsica a couple of times when I was young, which was about a 2-week walk. And these memories that stick in your mind. And again, I shouldn't be telling you this, should I? But some of my elder sisters, university friends said, let's go down and get a beer. So we actually cut down off the top and went down. I was about 14 at the time, I think. And we went and had a beer, and we had garlic. First time I'd ever had saucisson set, garlic sausage. And after being on dried rations and oatcakes for a week, it was just a dream. So God knows where that puts you many weeks into the challenge. But it must be very tempting just to pop onto these nice green islands.
Yeah, very much so. I think we've all made a promise to ourselves that we'll need to return here, because it is, I think from a sailing perspective, it's like the best place in the world. You've got all these magical islands dotted about and incredible sailing conditions. And as you say, an abundance of wonderful fresh fruit and veg, and just quite,
Although we've just learned actually that the Marquesas, which we've just passed, they were in recent history still had cannibals on the islands. So maybe it was a good thing that we.
Maybe best just keep rowing.
I'm gonna swap with Lachlan and relieve him because he's been rowing away for the last a while. because of the bad connection at the beginning, we've left him for quite a long time. But Rob, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, and I hope that we get to chat again sometime, maybe when we're on dry land.
We very much look forward to that, Ewan. And I'm going to see if you're going to row harder than last time. Obviously, it's his birthday. He doesn't need to row very
You
hard.
can score us. Amazing. Thanks, Rob. There seems to be a glitch on our we have this tracker called YB Yellow Brick Tracker, and there seems to be a slight glitch on it. And we looked at it this morning, and apparently we're going 29.9 knots. And of course, it's great. It doesn't feel like it, but we'll take it.
It must be a big tide running between the Marquesas.
Yeah, a jet stream, and we're due to arrive in Sydney in a week.
Really? Oh yes, under current speed. Yes, of course. All right, birthday boy, how are you doing?
Hello, how's it going? I'm very well, very well. Lovely to meet you, Rob.
And yourself, and happy birthday, happy 27th. So
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's quite a surreal birthday. I think probably the most remote birthday I'll have, I reckon. Yeah.
I think you've run out of bigger challenges unless you want to do the Antarctic Ocean.
Yeah. Oh geez. I don't know. Southern Ocean, I'm not sure how much that appeals. The cold. The roaring 40s and the whatever it is, the terrible 60s. Yeah, geez. Terrible 50s. At the start of the trip, the first book we listened to was Endurance, Shackleton's Voyage to the the North Pole. No, it was across. It was an attempt to cross. Yeah. And I mean, it was great for us because we were feeling sorry for ourselves. We were kind of getting into the sleep deprived state but aches and pains but then as soon as we turn it on, listen for an hour, and it would be like instant perspective of what real suffering is. I think if you're doing this in the cold, I think it'd be next level.
That wasn't his row over and the walk over Elephant Island, though. It was. It was. Exactly. Oh yeah. Puts everything in perspective. And who was getting all emotional in the first week on the updates? Was that you, Jamie?
I think it was me. Yeah, it got to me. It is a funny. I'm sure you're familiar with the sort of emotional roller coasters that you go through when you're on a challenge like this, where you're physically and mentally giving it all. And I think in particular, it was the first few weeks, to be honest, because of the size of this voyage. That adjustment period was really just getting used to getting our sea legs again. Ewan and I were seasick for about a week, which it's going to pass, but there's also the intrusive thought of what happens if it doesn't pass. John Davidson well, and his suffering of weeks on the Atlantic and losing sort of 25 kilos by the time he arrived in Antigua. On his ocean rowing, so it's with
his off rations, his secondhand rations that were all off. And did he live off chocolate milkshake or something like that? Did he?
It was something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, kept him alive. Yeah, but it's because it's things like those. We've put a lot of time and effort into preparing properly for this challenge, but it's the uncontrollables, like if you were to get hit with seasickness that didn't pass, there's very little you can do. I think that played into the emotional state, definitely. And then but it's ongoing. It's like Rob, you'll be able to relate, no doubt, but it's like you're never just like fine, you're never kind of in the middle. It's either like high highs or low lows from like 1 12-hour period. You can have a high, a low, and it's like a dead of day-to-day life, I suppose. You must have had that on. You've done some huge cycling trips, I know. That's your kind of main endurance sport?
If you get your nutrition right, it does help you avoid the lows. But the crushing lows are usually what's called a bonk in the cycling terms, where you go hypoglycemic and then everything becomes a real task. And we hit it going down to Cardiff, where we'd cycled all the way through the day before. I think we'd had about 40 minutes sleep in Birkenhead. And then I'd made a rather stupid decision that we wouldn't have breakfast at Birkenhead. We'd cycle on to Ruthin in North Wales, and then we could have our breakfast at a proper time there. But I hadn't eaten properly, and then you moved out the flatness of Liverpool to the hills of North Wales, and everything went really badly wrong for me. And so, but it's now acceptable to to blub away, Jamie. So I did my little blubbing bit, and and people like it, like a bit of teariness nowadays. So did a call to arms video, and it's very good for getting donations if you really are suffering, and you show that you're suffering.
No, definitely. I think we've tried to, and a really important aspect of this row in particular has been trying to share the experience as best we can. So conversations like this are amazing for getting into the details, and then also just sharing as much as we can, the highs and the lows. As you say, we've got that charitable North Star, trying to raise this £1 million for clean water projects, and the only way we're going to hit that is if people really engage with the challenge and engage on an emotional level. So it's the last thing you want to do in those low moments, but it's almost the most important thing when we think about the bigger picture.
If you don't record it, it didn't happen. Is that not how it is these days? So, and you've obviously seen a bit of fish, and you've seen some bait balls, but is it mainly a desert that you're rowing over, or are you seeing? Is it mainly just nothingness day in, day out, or are you seeing the odd bird?
Yeah, the duration. I mean, the first half, the bit we've just done that's obviously the most remote part of the crossing. So there was nothing. We were below the Galapagos, and then we've had essentially just about 4,000 nautical miles of nothing. But throughout the whole of that, we had birds. Kind of terns. I think they're called petrels. These big. They're kind of they've got quite a hooked. Quite big birds, kind of a 5-foot wingspan. Yeah, and several others, probably 4 or 5 types of bird all the way across. Yeah. And other than that, I mean, it's funny because we've not seen any. We didn't see any vessels for about a month. We've not seen a single plane for the whole crossing, which has been actually really cool. And then we saw a few boats just before the Marquesas, but for the most part, it's been empty. Sea life, we've seen some whales, we've seen dolphins, sharks, but it's amazing how varied the conditions. They're just always changing. Like every day is different, and I think the cloud formations in particular has been like the most breathtaking. It's the sunrise and sunsets. Like we're on deck 18 hours a day, so we see we see every sunrise and sunset, and it is just amazing. Like the colors are much, I'd say, more striking than the Atlantic. I don't know what it is in particular. The last kind of week has been, I don't know if it's because we're starting to hit islands and that's disrupting clouds a little bit, but it's it's funny. Like nothing changes, but everything changes constantly. It's kind of that weird paradox of the two.
Superb. I've just got to plug my computer in. That's why I've gone funny. I think it's saving battery. No, just give me 1 minute. Sorted.
Fantastic.
And are you seeing much rubbish out there, or are you just in the wrong part? Do the currents just keep everything moving rather than gathering it up where you are?
Oh, we've seen a bit. I think, as you say, because of our route, which has got we've got current at most points and wind and waves, moving the swell in different directions. I think there's not a huge amount out here. You still do see, unfortunately, the occasional lump of plastic or plastic bottle. But I think, fortunately, we haven't seen a huge amount, but we're fully aware of, there's, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which I think is just to the north of us, where, there's a quieter zone that rubbish just gathers.
And what current are you on? You're getting shot from Peru. You're heading southeast. Is it? It's not a trade. There's no trades in the Pacific, are there?
Yeah, I mean, so we've been, yeah, you're totally right. So we left Peru and then we came a bit north. We're obviously below the equator. So we had the Humboldt current initially to help us off the mainland, and then we've had some equatorial current as well. It kind of comes and goes. Like probably the most we've had is maybe 1.2, 1.3 knots, and then you sometimes hit eddies and you get a little bit, going the wrong way. But I don't know. On average, what would you say? Kind of between 0.5 and 1. Yeah, 0.5 and 1 knot. There. Yeah. Which is great because it does just give you that extra, that little boost in the right direction that you want to go.
Yeah.
Brutal when it's against you. Yeah, really. Yeah.
Well, we once did a challenge where we swam in relay from Ardnamurchan Point to Col, and everything was going fine until the tide turned, and then we couldn't swim as fast as the tide, and we just sat in the same spot for about 2 hours before we made the decision we would move. We took the boat and went down tide and did the equivalent, but it's realizing if you're fighting the tide and the speeds that obviously we're going swimming slower than you are, but it's still the tide can remove almost all forward progress if you're fighting it.
It's the biggest cortex training. Like when right now we're going pretty slow. We're probably doing 2.5 knots. But
you're doing 29 knots.
Oh, we're doing 29. No, we were doing 29 when I was rowing. We're back down to 2.5 with you on. But yeah, when that 2.5 goes to 1.5, it's below 2 knots. It's just brutal. I think Jim and you mentioned yesterday we got in and we were cleaning the hull, and it is remarkable. You don't realize how fast the boat is moving at all times. You let go for a second and suddenly you're, scrambling, getting dragged along. So, yeah. I was going to ask you, Rob, I mean, you've obviously got, a huge amount of experience of doing big physical things to raise money for charity. I was going to ask you, I was thinking on the oars just then, what do you think it is in that combination of things of doing something that's, physically challenging, big and tough, and trying to raise money for, I mean, in your case, I know it's a cause that's very close to your heart, and as is the, Clean Water Project for us.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on that? I'm sure you've given it some thought. On long hours on the bike, it's probably popped into your mind.
Yeah, I'm now into my 60s, so trying to remember what my thoughts on these things are gets a bit harder. But I think you gain so much by giving. I think you become a net winner if you're able to fundraise for something that's important to you and make the effort, and then the people who you ask to give as well. They there's a trade here that everyone's being entertained by your video casts and podcasts on your route, and hopefully you will inspire them. And the harder it gets, the more inspiring it is. But the physical challenge is the reason we do it, but it's also just the vehicle to highlight the cause, isn't it? And I always see it as a vehicle, and the way we do it, rather than having to stimulate all the interests ourselves, we just recruit as many teams as possible. Which might be a little difficult in your line of work. Having 50 little boats bobbing across the Pacific, but I think it's hugely gratifying to just to raise the profile of something and encourage people to give. And I'm sure you're the same, that there's a huge amount of that endurance athletes do get pleasure out of the process, and whether it's endorphins or I don't know, I'm not exactly sure what drives it, but I'm very happy sitting on my bike pedaling away and I'm very lucky that I can still do it. And obviously for you, there will have been some really tough times. I can't even imagine how tough things have been over the last few weeks for you, particularly at the beginning when you were dealing with all this side swell crashing over you all the time, and what that does to your seasickness and to the soreness of your hands. But it's also, it's such a great challenge, and we're really enjoying being part. And I'm thrilled. For you, talking to someone at home must be very exciting, but for me to be just chatting with you, what you're doing is fantastic as well, and a real honor.
Oh, that's very, very kind of you to say. Well, it's likewise, it's an honor for us to be speaking to you. The number of people we've had over the last few years, the number of people that have said, have you chatted to Rob Wainwright? Like different people crossing paths. And so yeah, it's very surreal to be doing it in this setting, but we're very, we feel like this is the intro, but we're really keen to come and visit you on Cole.
The invitation stands, and I'll come and see how the croft's doing up at Ned.
Oh, amazing.
Unfortunately named Ned. And I had crofting questions as well. And if we move away from blowing smoke up each other's asses, and get onto is it?
That's good.
Do you have any livestock up there? Obviously, it seems unlikely because there's nobody looking after it at the moment. Or have you?
Remarkable breed of sheep that we have up here that just take care of themselves.
Right.
We unfortunately that's not true.
Yes.
We unfortunately don't have any livestock yet, but I think we've been going to Ned, the hamlet of Ned all our lives. Our grandfather bought a ruined croft house there and built a small house cottage. And throughout our childhood, it was the source of the inspiration for our adventurous spirit, for sure. And a place that I think the three of us, we call it it's definitely our spiritual home. But it was only a couple of years ago that the neighboring croft to our aunt and uncle came up on the market, and the three of us put together all our savings and now have this very small, not that arable, but very beautiful, peaceful strip of land that currently has no road access. So it's a walk-in. You park up on the single track road, and it's a it's a 500-meter walk-in down this little path. It's got sea access. It's got sea access though. So it's been very much a topic of conversation. Is like what are the next stages for the croft? And I think some livestock of some sort would be amazing. We're not really sure what yet. Some goats, maybe some goats and a couple cows, chickens, ducks.
I can solve if you're wanting something that's easy care and is a sheep but looks like a goat. We're trying to get rid of some Suez sheep at the moment if you want them, but you will need good fences.
Okay.
They're very small. These kilder ones.
How many are we talking?
You can have the lot. You can have 50, 60 of the buggers if you want.
Wow. Well, this is the best Zoom call of our lives. Yeah, fantastic. 50 sheep, lads.
Yes.
That's before midday. There you go.
How many acres have you got?
Not a huge amount. We've got about 5.5 to 6.
Maybe not 50.
Yeah, maybe two or three. I mean, up there, as I'm sure, I don't know if it's the same on Cole, but you've got common grazing. So actually, a lot of the croft is up near Ned and in Assen. That the sheep just run free.
Run riot.
And they move about, in a quite a large area and herd together every now and then. But do you have any experience with bees, Rob?
Yeah, well, I've got 4 hives. 2 of them are empty, and if I pull my finger and go and look in the 2 full ones, I might split them. We're very lucky here, and you may well be the same up on the north side of Assen there, that there's no varroa where we are, so we have which is quite a privilege these days. So I'm on a very laissez-faire. I'm a very laissez-faire beekeeper, and I don't go in very often. I used to love going in, but now I'm so busy with so many things that they are slightly neglected. But they thrive on neglect to a degree. But you do, they do need some management. And I forgot to put the mouse guards on the last 2 winters, and that's probably why I've lost the other 2 hives. But I'll split them. Have you got bees up there, or are you planning it?
Yeah, that's what the last guy that we got dropped off. He had some beehives. I think we looked at, and there are actually some old hives still on beside the bothy. So that's a forerunner, definitely. And chickens, and I think chickens be lovely, like a really good chicken coop, and maybe some chickens and ducks. But I don't know.
So someone's got to live there full time, then, no?
Yeah.
Or someone's always got to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big plan. I think
You can't all 3 of you live there, can you? Who's going to go native then?
I think I think we all would if our futures allow it. I think we will need to develop the croft a bit. At the moment, as Lachlan says, there's just kind of like one little bothy which is suitable for a couple. So we'd need to build our own, little pods or cabins. And I mean, I think both of us, we're keen to. It's certainly the place that all 3 of us, when you're out here, it's on your mind a lot, and all you want to do. And when we arrive, is sort of head straight up to Ned and run away from everything. Ewan might have, ties to Edinburgh from a work perspective, but that certainly won't stop him coming up. Probably as regularly. We'll see where he's at 4,000 miles. See if we can convince him. If we're still as chummy as we are now after the next 2 months, then a small croft with 3 little cabins, it's luxury compared to this boat.
Well, it's good. It's a good viewpoint to have, isn't it? I just tying in with the last conversation. I have cycled around that area, and there is a cycle sportive called the Bialach Moor, I think it is, and the North Assynt. No, actually, maybe it isn't the Bialach Moor. Anyway, the North Assynt Road is the worst cycling road in the whole of Britain. When I say worse, it's the most challenging, because you go over watersheds every 2 miles, and you go up like that, and then you get nothing back. You go straight down again, and then up again, and because all those little river systems, it's a hellish place to be riding.
That's when you're turning a skew, do you mean? And you've got Cunyag, the mountain on your. I think it's the road. It's the road between us and Palskew, and we call it the 1 in 4. It's taken. I think 3 of our family's clutches have died on those hills. Actually, going the other way, if you went from us, we were talking about this. You could go from where we are and then go to Lochimver, and then there's a road called the Wee Mad Road. And it goes from Lochimver and connects back up with the road. It's the road that goes to Appletibui. You could do an amazing circuit with some hills. So maybe if we can entice you up, you'll come we go for a cycle ride, and then when you can give us some tips on how to croft. We can share stories over. I'm not sure if you've been, but there's a legendary pie shop in Lochimver.
I was about to say, I'm only coming if we go to the pie shop. We've been to the pie shop. All cyclists stop at the pie shop. The pie shop's kind of changed now. It's gone out onto a sort of balcony out the back. It's moved, isn't it? Well, this was about 4 years.
It's sort of glammed up a bit. Yeah. It's still, the pies are still good. The pies are still good. The venison and cranberry is still up there with one of the best pies. So this will make you laugh. So I think Jamie and you said, you guys were talking about food before I joined. But there's a main topic we've said like the last 2,000 miles, we'll just save as much as we can for then, because otherwise you're obsessing from like day 3 and you've still got 120 days to go. But the last trip, the Atlantic, it was the exact same. And we got to about 2 weeks away from arrival. We'd spent the last 2 weeks talking about pies, describing our perfect pies and the lock-in reliance. So we decided to see if we could, because they do pies by post. Lock-in Velarde, you can actually order pies. We had this hilarious sat phone, kind of these delirious rowers in the middle of the Atlantic, and we phoned up the Lock-in Velarde and said, "Now you won't believe this, but we're in the middle of the Atlantic. Would you send your pies to the Caribbean?" Safe to say they do not send them to the Caribbean, but we did get some sent to a friend who was coming out to see us in. So yeah,
You're
we had
joking.
Scotland Bernardo. A good friend of mine. He was the pie mule, pie smuggler, and he managed to sneak in 12 venison and cranberry pies into Antigua. We had that as our one of the first few meals we had on land. It was surreal and very special. We could have been arrested for it.
We've got neighbours on call who've just done a around the world, and they've been on the route you're on. They left the Galapagos, went through French Polynesia, and right the way down to New Zealand. But they were just sending me stuff from pictures. Presumably about 6 weeks ago, would that be about the end of the Talisker? Is it still called the Talisker, the Atlantic Challenge, is it?
It's now just, I think it's just called World Cup. It ends sort of end of February time, I think.
All right, it was obviously a bit longer ago, but they were just sitting in a bay at Antigua, and actually it had already finished, and this person was just rowing around. But there was this plumber from down in Liverpool, I think he is, who I can't remember the full story, but he was raising money for My Name's Doddy Foundation, and a big tartan boat went past them as they were sitting at anchor in Antigua.
That's amazing. Yeah, Rob, I'm conscious that I think we could probably keep chatting for hours, but I'm aware that it's now, what is it, 10 to 9 your end?
Well, I'll finish by saying the deal is come and visit, and I'll come and cycle the horrendous roads of North Assen, and should you choose to follow your dreams, we followed our dreams 26 years ago. All our kids are about your age, and they're all back on the island in one form or the other, because it's such an amazing place. It just has strong emotional ties for them. And our eldest son, Dougie, works 6 months a year on polar expedition cruises. And then when he's off shift, he's back. We're about to put a caravan in the trees for him that he wants to go and hide in when he gets back. But follow your dreams. You're obviously following your dreams at the moment, but when it comes to the Croft and Ned and North Assen, it's an amazing place. And we looked for properties up there before we found this place on Col. We absolutely love it up there. And so good luck with the rest of your massive challenge. It's absolutely crazy. And I haven't asked all the kind of the simple questions about how you live, and I know all the answers because Jamie, you told me when we were on the boat about the complete lack of a loo, and obviously your brothers, but just zero privacy. But someone else can ask you these questions with your next meal, and very much appreciate our Buckles freeze-dried lamb stag, which was really good.
Well, Rob, it's been an absolute joy to chat. Thank you for your kind words, and we will definitely take you up on the offer. We'll figure out a way. It might be this boat. We'll bring a boat over to Cole, and we can maybe do a row around Cole and Cairo, something like that. We could follow Donald Maclean's journey. We could. Yeah. Our ancestors. Yeah. And then the door is always open on the Croft. It's never locked. We've got a caravan tucked away in the woods. So Jamie said the door. It's the door of a caravan, but it's still a door. No, but it would be a joy to have you up there, and we can do some mileage on the bikes together and celebrate over some venison and cranberry pies.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Obviously, I've met your uncle, I've met your father, and I've met Jamie. But it's great to chat to the other two of you, and enjoy your birthday. What a place to spend it. So, and good luck with the next 2 days. Is that how long it's going to take to get to Australia at 29 knots?
At this rate, 5 to 6 days. Yeah, maybe add a 0 to that. Who knows? You'll make us. The aim is the third test in Sydney, but the Lions' third test, which I'm sure you're aware of, and but we're not sure we'll quite make that. Weather dependent, we'll see. I think it's going to be more like mid to late August, maybe even September. But yeah.
Just row faster. Come on, Ewan. Row faster.
Go on, Ewan. Come on. Get out to 30. Get it on the plane.
Good luck.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.